It's the Monday edition, Mr. Relevant, presented by Door County Distillery. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gerber offices, one call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Josh DiMaggio here with me, producer Tiny Hands, Hunter Vaughn, back at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison as we react to a Packers loss yesterday in week number 4. The Vikings 4-0 as they beat the Packers 31-29. The Packers' Herculean comeback effort falls short. 22 points scored in the fourth quarter. They only fall by 2. Plenty of blame to go around as that was a really, really ugly game. Really, really ugly game. It was 28-7 at the half. The Packers hold the Vikings to only 3 points in the second half, but still too little, too late at that point. And look, I thought the Packers were going to win. I believe, I am a believer in the Minnesota Vikings. But it feels weird, right? Because it was one of those losses where I wasn't super upset to the point where I couldn't watch football anymore. I still watched the beatdown that was Sunday Night Football as Buffalo loses big to Baltimore. But I didn't feel awful about it, despite it being a bad loss. Maybe because it was over so early, and then we kind of got to ride the high of what should have been probably a comeback. But then you have a total of 3 interceptions by Jordan Love. 4 touchdowns, quiet 4 touchdown game for Love as well. It was one of those weird games, man. But the defense had some good moments, right? Edgerrin Cooper picking up that fumble by Sam Darnold. The special teams had some nice moments. Daniel Whelan with the punt that was unable to be fielded, and ultimately the Packers picked up and punched in a touchdown. So there were some good moments, but you were playing from behind the entire game. And that's just something we really haven't seen this Packers team do yet, at least over the course of the last few weeks. They did a little bit against Philly, but it was never to the point of what it was yesterday when it was 28-7. And the Packers walk away losers in 2-2 and 500 on the year through 4 weeks. Let's start with Jordan Love. Not his best game. Did not look good early. And I think that was kind of anticipated, right? Hasn't played football in over 3 weeks. A little bit of rust. Like that's expected. But there were some throws that we thought he was done making, specifically on a few of those interceptions. Just throws you thought he was not going to do anymore. Very Brett Favre-esque as he wore his Brett Favre jersey into Lambeau Field yesterday. I didn't think he played all that well. Obviously 4 touchdowns, but that's inflated given they were playing from behind. 3 interceptions, 32 of 54, 389 yards. But again, those are all inflated because you're playing from behind, right? You only hand the ball off or rush the ball a total of 19 times. He was fine. He certainly wasn't good. I don't think he was awful. But the 3 interceptions, one of which wasn't really his fault, certainly a blemish on his return game yesterday. It's good to have him back out there. It's good to have Jordan Love back at your disposal, obviously. But yesterday was rough. I just didn't think it was his best game. And I guess it'll happen, right? You're going to have games where you're disappointed in the performance of your quarterback, no matter how much money he's making. But it was a little bit underwhelming for a game I thought should have been more of a barn burner than it was a Herculean comeback as the Packers tried to make in the fourth quarter. So, all in all, I'm walking away going, Love's played 2 games. He hasn't looked that great in either of them. Hunter, go ahead. Your mic is on.
Okay, normally you say, Hunter, what do you think? So I usually wait for that moment.
Yeah, that was mean. Dismissive.
Dismissive by me?
Yeah.
You're
in a bad mood.
Let's try that again. Let's try that again.
No, it's fine. You're in a bad mood. All I was going to say...
let's try again.
No, all I was going to say was that I feel like Jordan Love maybe shouldn't have played because it didn't look like he was 100%, and I know they never claimed that he was, but that interception where he underthrows it and it's in the end zone, he's 100%. He's putting that towards the back of the end zone. The DB's not able to get there, so it's either incomplete or a touchdown. That was where I was like, oh, I don't know if he should have been out there. I get he wanted to be, and he's a competitor, so if he said he was good, they're going to let him go. But he shouldn't have been playing.
I have a way different read on that. I saw a guy out there who just who was healthy enough as he kept doing it, but he just wasn't sure and confident in the beginning. I think the injury was impacting him more mentally than actually it was physically. It feels like once he fell on and had that limp that made me start to panic is when he started playing better football because he realized, oh, I'm fine. This thing is working. This thing's holding up. I
read it similarly to you.
I'm not as discouraged by his play because there was a lot of that back foot stuff. The stuff we saw, frankly, Aaron Rodgers doing his first game back this season, where there was not pushing off of that leg, kind of trying to protect it, which is causing balls to sail or zip short. I think no matter how long he was out, I think that it was going to look a similar way. Because, Chewy tells us all the time, until you go out there, you get hit, and you kind of play at the speed, because you can never recreate that, especially at the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You're never going to feel fully back until you play.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I read it similarly. I didn't think he was physically restrained a whole lot. Like, there were probably moments where he would have ran it rather than threw it away or whatever. But other than that, I didn't really sense a ton of physical restraints. I felt as if more it was mental early, and then he kind of got back into things. But the issues I have with Love were some of the throws I just alluded to, Josh.
Yeah,
right?
That last throw is inexcusable and reminiscent of the last throw we watched
against San Francisco.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, no, you're totally right. And like I said, I felt like we had reached a point with Love, and maybe we haven't yet, where he's kind of done making the dumb mistakes. At least I thought he was. Yesterday there was of course a sense of hero ball to be played. I think he was trying to, obviously he was trying to make a play. I didn't know that you needed it at that point. I didn't know you needed it the way in which he tried for it. And that was, I don't want to say problematic, but it was a little concerning. Now, do I view the Packers as a bad team now? Do I view the Packers as a team that is much worse than I expected going into yesterday's game? No, I thought yesterday's game was going to be a battle. It ultimately ended up being one, only losing by 2, but it wasn't a battle in which I thought it could be, and it likely will be later in the season when these two teams go head-to-head again in NFC North play. Cheesehead Bucky on the YouTube stream. I agree with Joshy. He looked good in the second half. I'm concerned we can't get pressure with 4 and the kicker. I feel like the offense will be just fine. We'll get to the kicker in just a moment because there's plenty. The thing is, today, it's one of those losses where there's just so much blame to go around. I know on a show Joshy used to produce, Scalzo and Brust, with Greg Scalzo and Ben Brust, they always did the pie chart of blame. Your pie chart would need to be like 3 pie charts today because there's that much blame to go around. Despite it being only a 2-point loss, it felt like a 25-point loss. I just felt like that game was over, before it even really got going. And the Packers, as they do best, they give you a little bit of faith, a reason to have a little bit of hope, and they crush you. And Jordan Love does it with that interception late. So all in all, I still have confidence in Jordan Love. I still think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm very happy he's my team's quarterback. Yesterday was not his brightest day. It was not his best game, and that's okay. You're gonna have games like that. I don't think there's any real reason for concern that Jordan Love is a bad quarterback. And anybody that's saying that or thinking that is wrong. If you think Jordan Love shouldn't have played, I disagree with you. I can understand why you'd say that, given the result of the game. But Malik Willis isn't doing what Jordan Love did in the fourth quarter, / the defense did in the fourth quarter. I don't think Malik Willis is doing any better than Jordan Love did yesterday. In fact, I'm confident that Malik Willis is not doing anything near the level of what Jordan Love did yesterday, despite the 3 interceptions.
If you spot the Vikings 28 points, Malik Willis has no prayer.
Correct.
As thankful as I am for Malik Willis and frankly impressed with his play, the 2 games he did have to play, surely you would probably have slowed the game down a little bit, but that defense wasn't stopping anybody there the first 3 drives, so I don't think it frankly matters all that much.
No, and I'm with you on that. And look, we knew it was going to be a dogfight. We knew the Vikings were good. I think we all agreed on Friday's show. The Vikings are a good team. I think they're the legitimate contenders in the NFC North this year. They're much better than we all expected. And they looked it yesterday. Now, again, it doesn't help when your top 2 corners are out, right? The Packers missed Jair Alexander and Carrington Valentine yesterday. It allowed Justin Jefferson to have a really nice day. And, he made some great plays. He made some great catches on not so great balls thrown by Sam Darnold. And he walks away with 6 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. It's a good game for Justin Jefferson. Sam Darnold was pretty good again. 20 of 28, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception to Xavier McKinney again. So as many, and we'll do stock up, stock down as we do every Monday in a bit. But as many negatives as there were yesterday, there were some positives. I thought a lot of the receivers / tight ends looked good. I thought Jaden Reed solidified he's the number 1 receiver. I thought Dontavian Wicks had his breakout game with 2 touchdowns. I thought Tucker Kraft looked really good outside of the fumble. That was punched out. Other than that, I thought there were some nice bright spots on the offensive side of the ball. Didn't run the ball a ton, but I thought Emmanuel Wilson played well on the carries he had. Defensively, I think there were some high notes, there were some low notes, right? I mentioned Xavier McKinney. Xavier McKinney, he had another interception. I thought he looked really good. Thought McDuffie had a nice game. Isaiah McDuffie, one of the linebackers. Thought he had a nice game. I thought Quay Walker was good. So there were some good moments and some good things to take away from this loss, despite it being as ugly as it was, despite the score indicating it wasn't as ugly as it was. All in all, I think you walk away, you go, all right. You took that one on the chin. You're 2-2. You're 500. You've got 13 games left. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You got the Rams this week. You got the Cardinals and Texans coming up at home. Like you've got a chunk of the schedule now where there's winnable football games, including a Texans game that I think is a really intriguing matchup for this Packers team in a couple of weeks. But it's a winnable game. And then, the 2 games I mentioned before that, you've got the Rams at the Rams this week. You host the Cardinals, who got stomped yesterday by the Commanders. You visit Jacksonville at the end of the month. So, at worst, you should come out of the month of October at 5-3. At worst, you should be 5-3. If not, 6-2. They look like a good team. Once the rust got knocked off. I thought the second half they were solid. Defense made plays, special teams made plays, Love made plays. He made some not so good plays, but he made some good plays as well. So this is still a very good team that's absolutely in contender mode. But you take one on the chin early in the season, that's going to happen. I mean, we saw the Packers do that many times last year, and they evolved into a contender. So I'm not walking away from that game with a ton of concern. The one big concern I do have walking away from the Packers' loss to the Vikings on Sunday, though, is the kicker position. It's something we talked about all offseason, whether it was going to be Anders Carlson, whether it was going to be Greg Joseph, and ultimately ended up being Braden Arvison. Your kicker's going to lose you a game at some point. And as I just got done saying for the last 15 minutes, there's plenty of blame to go around, by all means. Multiple things happened that caused the Packers to lose against the Vikings. But one of those things that needs to be highlighted is the fact that the kicker, Braden Arvison, missed 2 field goals in a 2-point game. Do the math. Braden Arvison missed 2 field goals in a 2-point game. If he makes one of those, the end of that game is being handled differently than Jordan Love handled it. If he makes both of those, the end of that game is being handled differently than Matt LaFleur or Jordan Love handled it. If he makes both of them, you go from a 2-point loss to a 4-point win, at least in theory. And you have a ginormous comeback in the fourth quarter, and Lambeau is energized, and you're feeling a little bit differently this morning. But ultimately, Narvison misses 2 kicks. And it's got me wondering whether or not they need to make a change already. He's missed one every week. It seems like he's good for at least 1 miss per game. Yesterday it was 2. He's got a leg, but I don't think he's your long-term answer.
I have 1 as well. 2, actually.
You actually do have 2. Yeah, that's correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware. I mean, might even have 3. Braden Arvison has a good leg and a big leg. But yesterday is a bad game on his resume. Look, again, I'm not saying you lost because of the kicker. The kicker did not help you win. The kicker played a role in you losing that game yesterday. Because as I said, you lose by 2, you miss 2 field goals, you can flip that 2-point loss to a 4-point win, which is both a victory and covering the spread. So, yeah, Not the best showing by the Narv Dog. And look, I hope they bring in some competition this week, even if it's on a tryout basis.
Dog.
Why?
Has to end. You can't have a nickname and miss a kick every game.
Oh, sure.
He's not nickname worthy. Unless it's going to be one that is picking on him and making fun of him. One that is...
Do you find Narv Dog endearing?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, as if you have a dog nickname, that's a good thing.
Okay, I wasn't viewing it that way, but fair enough. I guess I see where you're coming from on that.
I have a take when it comes to the reaction, because we asked on Jen Give It Chewy what they were most disappointed with, and the kicker was by far, in a way, the highest vote. I feel like there is something going on here where we don't want to address the big issue and the scary issue because we feel like it's a kicker, you can replace it, find one to do it. To be this far into it and not spend time on the Packers' inability to get any pass rush with 4.
Yeah.
With Rashawn Gary not having 1 sack in 11 games. For it to Kenny Clark to be a non-factor, and now we don't have Devontae Wyatt, who has been the best pass rusher. I think there's reason to be optimistic about the future of the Packers defense, but that was a bad showing from that front 7 in a way that if even you have hints of that, that's going to lose you a lot of games or make a lot of games closer than they ever should be. And I feel like we're kind of avoiding that because for Narv Dog to be ahead of the defense is crazy to me.
Well, of course, people are going to prioritize points or lack thereof.
Yeah, giving up 28 of them is a big deal.
Giving up, yeah, no doubt. You know, the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed in the first half. Aaron Jones had a really nice game. Thankfully, they kept him out of the end zone, so he didn't do his Lambeau leap until after the game, which I was fine with at that point.
That was corny.
Oh yeah, big time. But
yeah.
I'm fine.
You can have it.
You can have it. Yeah. You won the game. Go for it. You know, the game's over. I don't care. Darnold was only sacked twice. One of them was the fumble, and the other was, I think it was like a 7-yard loss.
Does Keyshawn Nixon have more sacks in the past 11 games than Rashawn Gary? Because I feel like they've used that even in the Joe Barry era. They used that slot blitz to some effect. There's a potential that the starting nickel corner or slot corner has more.
I mean, he has 2 this year, so there's your answer.
Oh boy,
he had one he has one in each of the losses. He had one week 1 against the Eagles, and he had one yesterday.
That's ugly.
So Keyshawn Nixon does indeed have more sacks in the last 11 games.
So Keyshawn Nixon's the indicator of a loss. He gets a sack, Packers lose. It's a bad sign.
Yeah, I mean, so far they are 0-2 on the year when Keyshawn Nixon has a sack. They are also 0-2 on the year when Jordan Love plays quarterback, Hunter. So
that's an even worse sign.
That could be a different indicator. Yeah, that's a different indicator. They are 2-0 with Malik Willis and 0-2 with Jordan Love. Start peddling the narrative, Joshy. Quarterback controversy in Green Bay.
And there was one in my house yesterday.
Shut up.
We have to. I'm not going to do the women don't know football thing. She doesn't care about it at all. Doesn't watch. Doesn't pay attention. She just looks up and sees the score and then picks on me.
because your well-being is determined by the outcome of the Packers game each Sunday.
No, I don't think I'm that way at all. I'm definitely not a bad mood after the Packers lose type guy.
I wasn't yesterday. I typically am, though.
But I think that's just kind of how our household is. It's a slight little jab. She knows I'll disagree.
So what'd she say?
She said, "Is the other guy better? They won with him," which is about. And I'm not being dismissive. I'm not doing the male chauvinist thing. That's just about all she pays attention to. What's the score?
Yep.
Who's out there?
But like, if she's not locked into football, like I get where that is a fair question for someone that isn't locked
100%.
in. Yeah, because my wife did the same exact thing, and like that was a question that was asked. I was up at my parents' during the game, and like that came up, and I'm like, no. And even my brother-in-law was like, well, should they have paid Jordan Love that money? I'm like, yes. He's the quarterback. He still is. Like, no. That's dumb. Like, trying to be respectful to my brother-in-law while at the same time, like, kind of being like, no, you're an insane person.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm just looking at stat sheets right now because Rashawn Gary has one sack on the year for Rashawn Gary. He had 1 week 1 against Philly. Keyshawn Nixon has 2 sacks on the air, which means he does lead him. And I'm just checking out the game logs. So this 11-game streak with 1 sack dates back to last season?
That is the stat I saw.
Well, I'm looking. He didn't have either one in either of the playoff games. He had a half of a sack against the Chiefs on December 3rd. So that is 5 regular season games.
We're approaching a calendar year.
Yeah, we are. We are. He had a 3-sack game the week prior. On Thanksgiving, he had 3 sacks against Detroit. But that was the last game other than Philly week 1 that he had a full sack. Mm-hmm. Yikes. For a guy that's getting paid to get after the quarterback, that is certainly not ideal. Certainly not ideal. Should we put Keyshawn Nixon on the edge? I mean, they were moving him around a little bit yesterday with Jair and Valentine out. Might as well try him on the edge. D and Keyshawn Nixon.
I don't think so. But I do think...
I'm joking.
I just wanted to actually answer the question. I do think they have to get more creative. They have to be pulling more stunts.
Yep.
They have to be rotating other guys in and giving more guys opportunity at that position. Because you paid Rashawn Gary all that money, but that doesn't matter if you're not getting home. Like at some point,
Correct.
It is literally, we need someone to get pressure on the quarterback. And if you're not doing it today, someone else has to. Mm-hmm. And you might not be the best option. And I'm not writing you off forever, but today it ain't your day. And it hasn't been his day for many of the... And, like, let's be honest, that Lane Johnson thing, they thought it was offside, so he didn't even really get out of his stance. Like, the one sack he has that we can talk about is one that really, like, whatever. It was a miscommunication.
It still counts, though.
And
still counts. But, yeah, not good. Not a good sign.
Like,
go ahead, Hunter.
It doesn't help for Rashawn Gary when on Sunday Night Football you've got Kyle Van Noy is like leading the league in sacks or whatever, and the dude's like 1 billion years old. Like, he shouldn't be doing that when you're in the prime of your career and you're literally playing the defense that got you drafted where you were. Like, he's in the spot that he was in college at Michigan that got him to be drafted as high as he was. Like, he's got to do something. He's got to figure it out, because if he can't, then this whole defense is not going to be able to do what it needs to do consistently, and you're going to see more games like this. And, like, I trust Jordan Love, but at the same time, you can't ask him to be putting up 28-plus every game. That's not fair of any offense in the NFL, even if it's the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Like, you just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to look at sack numbers, Devontae Wyatt tied for 11th in the league with 3. And then tied for 34th with 2 sacks on the year. Keyshawn Nixon and some other names you might recognize. Preston Smith of the Packers, Zadarius Smith, Eric Kendricks, Bud Dupree, Cameron Hayward, Zach Bond, the former Badger, friend of show, Nick Bonito, Trayvon Walker, the former number 1 overall pick, Nick Herbig, former Badger, all with 2 sacks on the year. Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, nowhere to be found on those lists. So... yeah, it's a good point by Joshy. It's something we haven't highlighted yet, but tough break. Tough break indeed. All right, got to tell you about my friends at Door County Distillery, our awesome presenting sponsor. Locally produced, handcrafted, award-winning spirits made locally in Door County. I say football season is whiskey season. I love their bourbon. Their single malt whiskey has won 27 gold medals in different competitions nationwide. Their rye whiskey, also award-winning. But if whiskey's not your thing, maybe it's the rum, maybe it's the gin, maybe it's the apple brandy as we approach fall. You can make a hot toddy. You can do all sorts of stuff with the apple brandy. And you can find a huge list of unique cocktail recipes on their website. DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website. DoorCountyDistillery.com. Unique cocktail recipes, location nearest you, retailer nearest you, and all the in-betweens at DoorCountyDistillery.com. Let's step aside. When we come back, we do stock up, stock down, and we just we word vomit. We're just going to let it all out following the Packers' loss to the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll look ahead to this weekend's game against the 1-3 Rams. It's going to be a get-right game for the Packers. We'll talk more about that coming up on the other side. It's Mr. Relevant, Alex Strouf. Where in the world is Door County Distillery today? It brings me to Sugar River Pizza, the legendary in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Let's go to the bar. Let's see what they've got. We're here in the beautiful bar at Sugar River Pizza in Sun Prairie. My guy Kyle just mixed me up a cherry brandy old-fashioned with the cherry brandy from Door County Distillery. It's delicious. I tell you it all the time. It's proving it right here. The best.
I'll tell you what, Kyle can make a cocktail.
All right, power ranking. Top 3 drinks to have from Door County Distillery. We're going 3-1. Number 3, it's a split decision, but they're both on the rocks. Either the 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey or my personal favorite, the bourbon. right on the rocks. Nice Sunday night in the weekend. I love it. That's number 3. Number 2, the Cherry Cosmo with that green bottle of gin. That thing tastes like summer. It's unbelievable. It's delicious. You got to try it. Check out the recipe. DoorCountyDistillery.com. Number 1, it's in my left hand right now with the cherry brandy, made with local Door County cherries, the cherry brandy old fashioned. That's my list, but there's no wrong answers. You got to find out for yourself. DoorCountyDistillery.com. Let me know what you think in the comments below. DoorCountyDistillery.com is the website for our friends at Door County Distillery. All right, we do this every week on Mondays following the Packers game, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss, all the in-betweens. It's time now for Stock Up, Stock Down.
Can you redo that with a little bit more energy? Like, come on.
Yeah, I can redo it.
Yeah.
All
like,
right.
you're better than that.
Yeah. Let's take it from the top. Click. We do it each and every Monday following a Packers game, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss. This week it's a loss as they follow the Vikings. It's time now to play a little Stock Up, Stock Down right here on Mr. Irrelevant. Let's start with the positives. I want to be happy, even though the Packers probably lost a game they shouldn't have, and it was just ugly all around. We'll start with Stock Up. Jaden Reed, the Packers wide receiver, was terrific yesterday. And he's been terrific all season long. He has emerged as the Packers' top receiver. He has emerged as a really good receiver in the NFL in his second season. And he has continued to prove why he needs to constantly be on the field for this Packers offense, whether it's out of the slot, whether it's out of the backfield, or whether it's just out wide. 7 catches, 139 yards, a touchdown, including a big 42-yarder yesterday. He was really darn good. And it views, to me at least, right? Last year, we often called Romeo Doubs the security blanket for Jordan Love. It seems to me like that title may have been transitioned over to the second-year wideout out of Michigan State, Jaden Reed. I think that is the direction in which Jordan Love looked a lot yesterday. Not the most, but he looked a lot. 8 times, 8 targets for Reed. He made 7 of those catches. And as mentioned, a $140 just about in a touchdown. I mean, that is a really, really good day for the Packers wideout, Jaden Reed, who, again, I say has emerged as one of the better pass catchers, not only on this team, but maybe even in the division, which is stacked with great pass catchers, right? You saw Justin Jefferson against the Packers yesterday. Amon-Ra St. Brown's really good. DJ Moore scored another touchdown this weekend. Jaden Reed deserves to be in the conversation. He's that darn good. I think his stock goes up again yesterday. Let's go to stock down. How about the guy throwing him the football? Jordan Love, stock down following a tough game yesterday. Look, I'm not saying the expectation should be down for Love. I'm not saying you shouldn't have faith in Love as the quarterback of this franchise. Just overall, 4 weeks in, Jordan Love has lost both of the games he started. And yesterday he throws 3 interceptions, including a crucial one at the end of the game, where you still had an ability and a chance to win said game. So, stock down a little bit for Jordan Love in his return game. But I imagine next Monday, after the Packers get right against the Rams, just like they did a year ago, I will be saying the stock is back up for Jordan Love. But he is certainly not in the MVP race through 4 weeks. Let's just put it that way for Jordan Love, who I've stocked down. Let's go back to stock up. Let's stay in the receiver room. Dontavian Wicks, speaking of security blankets, 13 targets yesterday for Wicks, which was a game high of any receiver. 13 targets for Dontavian Wicks. Now, all those passes weren't so good. He did have a few drops. 5 catches overall for him, including 2 touchdown catches for Dontavian Wicks yesterday. I feel like it was his breakout game of sorts, right? There were still a few drops, and you'd like to see those alleviated and taken care of and cleaned up. But overall, Wicks was good. Love kept looking to him, which is a good sign in terms of trust and confidence. But overall, Dontavian Wicks stock up after yesterday's game. 2 touchdowns of the 4 for the Packers and for Jordan Love went into the hands of Dontavian Wicks. Joshy brought this name up earlier for stock down. It's a guy we need to see some more out of. That would be Kenny Clark, the defensive tackle. Got paid in the offseason. Hasn't really created a ton of pressure. Hasn't really created a lot of chaos. You just haven't seen anything yet from Kenny Clark. You've been more impressed, and as Jossie just mentioned, Devontae Wyatt goes down with the injury. You've heard more from Devontae Wyatt than you have Kenny Clark through 4 games this season. That's not a good sign for a guy that is viewed as one of the best and highest paid defensive tackles in all of the NFL. He just hasn't created the disruption you expect from him through 4 weeks. And yesterday was another example of that. You just need to see more out of Kenny Clark. So Kenny Clark gets a stock down from me. My final stock up of the day, Quay Walker. Speaking of a guy you would like to hear disrupt a little bit and make some plays more than he has in past years, I thought Quay Walker was good yesterday. I don't think there was any point in the game, which I have done every other game this year, where I went, what the hell is Quay Walker doing? I thought he was solid. He led the team in tackles. He made some plays, obviously got one of the 2 sacks. I thought he was good in yesterday's game. So really no complaints for me in terms of Quay Walker. I thought he finally had a full game where I was impressed with him. Joshy, go ahead.
Oh, I was just waiting for your end here. I was going to add Xavier McKinney, even though his stock's probably been up all 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Does he get another stock up, tying like the all-time franchise record, or was it one short now? I think there might have been someone with 5 back in the 50s. I mean, that guy is...
He's a superstar.
He's like... And the D-backs usually don't win unless they score touchdowns at a high rate. He is like defensive player of the year good.
That's what I tweeted. Yeah,
to the level he's playing at right now.
Yeah, I mean he is the season leader in interceptions as Josh just mentioned. He has 4 on the year. The next closest, 2.
Yeah,
he's got a little bit of a lead now in terms of the interception category. 4 games as a Packer, 4 interceptions. I did not
the last guy to do that.
In his first 4 games as a Packer?
Not just first 4. I'm saying the last Packer to have 4 interceptions in 4 consecutive games.
Ooh. Is it within the last 20 years?
Yes.
Is his name Charles Woodson?
His name is Nick Collins.
Nick Collins. Oh, wow. I mean,
yes.
How fitting is that, given the comparisons
Correct.
that McKinney has received so far through this early season, about a quarter of the way through the season? Yeah. I mean, he's Nick Collins-esque, and I'm not going to say he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory yet. I just don't know him well enough to say that because he's still such a young player. But he is defensive player of the year material. Yeah, through 4 weeks. Yeah, absolutely. Despite the 2 losses, Xavier McKinney has made plays in all of them. 17 total tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 pass deflections. All 4 of those turned into interceptions. He's been phenomenal. And in a game where you desperately needed a turnover, he got you one. So I didn't put him in stock up this week because I had him in stock up last week. I didn't want to repeat.
Yeah, that's fair.
But he might be more deserving than anybody else on this list, other than maybe Jaden Reed. I think he was so good yesterday. Yeah, Jaden Reed is so good. He's a superstar. He's their best receiver.
I'm interested because I am the noted Dontavian Wicks stan here.
Yeah.
I thought he actually played pretty poorly at times.
Yeah.
But he continues to be on a routes run basis, like per route run, one of the most effective and most targeted players in all of the NFL.
Yeah.
It's not just for the Packers. So I'm interested to see, because this could be like the coming out party here with rumors that Christian Watson may be out multiple weeks, even on the IR potentially.
Yeah, that was an ugly injury for him.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty thankful it wasn't as bad as I originally thought upon watching it. I think they might back themselves into like Dontavian Wicks getting probably the snap share and route run share that he should have had all along. Because if you're that open that often,
yeah,
like there's something's got to break here. And probably the reason he's not seeing more snaps is because of the mistakes we saw.
Yeah, there was several mistakes that I outlined before when I talked about him. You know, I was really impressed with the fact, and I knew Love threw the ball a million times yesterday.
Yeah.
But he kept going back to him.
yeah.
13 targets for Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
Only 5 catches. You'd obviously like that number to be higher on 13 targets. But all in all, I thought he was good. I don't think he was great. Like, I think Jaden Reed was great yesterday.
Yes.
I thought Dontavian Wicks was good. And I think the term you just used, the coming out party, I think this is the beginning of something now with Watson injured with the high ankle sprain. And by the way, as we're talking about Christian Watson, dodged a bullet.
Yeah,
I thought that was much uglier than a high ankle sprain. The way he went down and his knee or his leg, I thought that was going to be a knee injury. So he dodged a bullet with that one. But yeah, I mean, Wicks is going to get more snaps now, naturally. And the way Love went to him yesterday, I would imagine we'll see more and more of that in the coming weeks. So the coming out party may be underway for Dontavian Wicks, which will allow him to clean up some of those drops and some of the other miscues that we saw against the Vikings. But all in all, I'm with you. I think he has the potential to be a superstar. And your number 1 and 2 could be our guys. Jaden Reed, my guy, and your guy, Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, I was just like really impressed with the way, and it's, we're drawing the Devontae Adams comparison, which everyone told us to hold it back on. Obviously for good reason, future Hall of Famer. But if you remember Devontae Adams' second year, the guy was open constantly and he dropped the ball a lot.
Yeah, he did.
But he got better, and they kept going to him. Aaron Rodgers, credit to him at that time, didn't send him to the nether realm, which he's done.
It's unbelievable how much you hate Aaron Rodgers. You said credit to him at that time.
Yes, because he no longer did that any. Once you get on his bad side as he got older, that just stopped happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, obviously, Devontae Adams, he probably saw a little bit more than he did in, say, Amari Rodgers, so that has to be the caveat there. But I think I think Christian Watson is very important to the Packers. I think if they want, I think they're a top 5 offense, like full stop right now in their current iteration. But if they want to be like the best, it needs Christian Watson. But I do think it is a blessing in disguise where they're kind of going to figure out the snap counts and who should be seeing targets and who can do what really, really well, because Wicks was just open all the time. It wasn't contested catches. It was wide open.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. Now, real quick, as you were brought up Aaron Rodgers, I got distracted, and I didn't watch the Jets-Broncos game, which the Broncos ended up winning 10-9, gross game. Is Braylon Allen outplaying Breece Hall?
Yes, at least yesterday, and maybe the past 2 games.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't good on the run at all. I mean,
no, they weren't.
It wasn't impressive, and it was a sloppy, wet game. But yeah, Braylon Allen, I believe he just kind of took over the backfield at a certain point.
That's what it looks like.
Yes.
Given I think he had 8 carries for 34 yards, and Breece Hall finished with 10 for 4. But
hey, Hunter.
Yeah.
You think it would have been worth putting a draft pick on Braylon Allen for the Cowboys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I wanted them to. I mean, the only problem is he's going to tweet about a coach that he said he had all the faith in the world in. And then, he'll have a random ankle injury that's going to hamper him for the rest of the season. Just give it 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That was a wild tweet.
Yeah,
sure was.
Tweet about a guy that you said you had all the faith in the world in and thought he was the best coach in the country.
We'll get to that. That is my what we learned, so we'll get to that. Don't worry, we'll get to that. Final stock down after the Joshy interruption. Thanks, Joshy. Is one we already talked about. Braden Arvison, the kicker. You just can't do that. And again, there's enough blame to go around. I'm not only putting this loss on Braden Arvison, but it certainly plays a role. You missed 2 kicks in a game you lost by 2. Do the math. Not good. So we'll see. I would imagine he's still the kicker this week. I'd imagine he's still a kicker for a while. They continue to state they have the utmost confidence in him and faith in him as their kicker, but he's got to clean it up. Got to clean it up. And while we're on, in terms of criticism, Hunter, do you think you could get a picture of Braden Arvison in a Packers jersey when he's in our stock up, hopefully next week?
He makes it through a game without missing a field goal. Then he'll get a green and gold one.
All right, you know what? I'm with that. Well said. He gets through a game with without missing a kick. He can get an updated picture. I like that rule, actually.
Yeah, that's the proper respect he deserves, not the nickname guy that you guys have been rolling.
The UNDERDOG, yeah.
It is preseason warm-up photo in a Titans jersey, who continues to be one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, true that. Wow. Hunter, that was well done.
Thank you.
Hey man, at least I don't know you guys. At least I don't know you guys' lunch. I was a little nervous there for a minute when the Badgers were playing USC. We'll get to that when we learned. First off, got to tell you about my friends at UNDERDOG though. UNDERDOG Fantasy, man. Joshy,
Winners, baby.
we're on a little bit of a heater all of a sudden. I gave you my picks for the weekend. I said Sam Darnold higher than half an interception, Jordan Love higher than 1.5 passing touchdowns, and Jaden Reed higher, and he was a lot higher, than 48.5 receiving yards. Winner, winner, winner. Chicken dinner. And Joshy gave out winners on Wednesday. If you were tailing us, which obviously the both of us were, we had a very nice weekend on UNDERDOG.
Yeah, we've 5x'd more than that in the past, like really like 15x. If you would have just done what we've done and given out on Mr. Irrelevant, I'm a little scared though. Gonna be honest. We got to keep it up. We got to really grind.
We're going to keep it up.
We can't be flipping about it. We got to be in the lab.
We'll be in the lab. We'll have some Thursday picks coming up on Wednesday's show. We'll have some weekend picks coming up on Friday's show. Josh and I are collaborating, but him and I have discovered we make a very good team. Whoa, the racing sausages are to my left here in the 3rd Street Market Hall. The Brewers pep rally is underway. Hot dog and Polish are to my left here at the 3rd Street Market Hall. They are knocking on the window of 1017 The Truth. I imagine they are going to make their way this way. Josh, you may at some point need to turn my camera. Yep, here they come. Why don't you turn my camera on the video stream as Hot Dog and Polish come over my way. They're getting ready for round 1 of the Brewers playoff games. There's a QR code. You probably can't scan it on what we're seeing here, but here they are. You can scan your QR code. You can get your tickets for the round 1 postseason games as the Johnsonville Sausages make their way here in the 3rd Street Market Hall. This is terrific content. Yeah, you can kind of see them on the YouTube stream outside the windows here. They're just peppering me, but you can see them here on the screen. Now, German or Polish has dropped to a knee. He might be proposing to me. I'm not exactly sure what's happening, but I love to see this. I will be there Wednesday. I bought my tickets last week for a big playoff game. The Brewers are waiting to see who they will play as the Mets and the Braves go on a little doubleheader. What's some camera work there by Joshy? Well done, Joshy.
We might have committed a little bit of copyright violation on that, but
it's all right. It's all right.
Okay.
We didn't mean it intentionally.
We're
playing rock, paper,
lawyers
scissors.
care
Hold on.
about
I got to
that,
go to the
but-
window. Hold on. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Yeah! Got him! It's paper over rock, baby.
Are you saying it was in the reflection that you could see it,
Yeah,
or was it
yeah.
when
Yeah.
I panned back?
Well, both.
I think you could get away with reflection. Reflection, I think you could get away with. I've seen some people do some stuff like that before. Allegedly.
Wow. We run a world-class operation here. I'm playing rock, paper, scissors with the hot dog mascot in the middle of the show. It's unbelievable. What were we talking about? Oh, Underdog Fantasy. Let's start that one over, too. We've already hit reset on one of those today. Let's do it again. Got to tell you about my friends at Underdog Fantasy. You can get up to a $1,000 deposit match and a free pick on the Underdog app. All you do is look at player projections for their upcoming games. You look at the projections. You click higher or lower. You can go anywhere between a 2-player and 8-player entry on the Underdog app or UnderdogFantasy.com. And add sign up. Use promo code GOODKARMA, GOODKARMA. Good Karma at sign up to $1,000 deposit match and a free pick on your pick'em entry on the Underdog app. You must be 18 years or older in an eligible state. Over 30 states, Canada, Wisconsin's an eligible state. On the Underdog app and UnderdogFantasy.com. That's all you got to do. Good Karma. Win some money with Joshy, myself. Let's win some money on the Underdog app. We had a really good weekend. Really good weekend. My Sunday night football picks did not pan out. Only one of the two did. But my Packers game picks for the second week in a row panned out. Joshy had some winners for us on Thursday night. We're going in the lab. We're going to keep making you some money on the Underdog app, UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code GOODKARMA at sign up. We've got our Thursday night picks coming up Wednesday. We've got our weekend picks coming up Friday. So you're not going to want to miss that. I'm telling you. The picks we give out on this show have been winning. We're going to keep that rolling. We like making money around here. All right, final thoughts on Packers Vikings as we get ready for the Rams on Sunday. Yesterday is not a game to freak out about. I remember a Week 4 matchup that we hyped up as the quarter of the season NFC North Championship game a year ago. The Packers hosted the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field on Thursday Night Football. They got absolutely stomped after a nice start to the season. They got stomped. That wasn't the case yesterday. It felt like it was going to be the case yesterday, but the Packers in the fourth quarter, kind of like that Saints game in Week 3 last year, where they came back late. And, they ultimately didn't win last night or yesterday, but it felt reminiscent a little bit of both of those games. They start getting stomped by a good divisional opponent, but then they make a little comeback, one that wasn't good enough, but Braden Arvison doesn't miss a kick. We're having a different discussion today. So that's the part that irritates me. But all in all, I still have a lot of faith in Green Bay. I still think they're a good football team. I still think they are a double-digit win football team. I think once Jordan Love gets right, and I think that will be this upcoming weekend, This is going to be a team that goes on a little bit of a tear in the month of October, and you go, oh, okay, now there's the team we expected. There's the team we expected. Even if they're without Christian Watson offensively, they're going to be all right. I think Dontavian Wicks can fill that role really well the next 4 weeks, especially when you're not playing incredibly superior competition, right? I mean, Arizona is frisky, but they're not good. The Rams aren't very good. Houston's okay. They're struggling, but they're probably similarly to a team like Green Bay, where they just haven't hit their stride yet. I mean, all three of their wins, the Texans are 3-1. They've all come within one score, and they beat the Colts, Bears, and Jags, and they got stomped by the Vikings last week. So if that gives you any indication, the Packers are better than Houston, at least through 4 weeks, despite the difference in record. So Green Bay has the opportunity here the next few weeks to really kick it up a notch, and I think that starts this weekend when they take on the LA Rams. So that's my final thoughts. I'm not freaking out after yesterday. This team is a 2-2 team, but it's a team that is much better than 500. They're at least a 10-win team still in my mind, despite what happened yesterday and the ugliness of the first half yesterday. This is still a very good team. So I'm not sweating. I'm not sweating at all. All right, time now for what we learned. It sounds like it's going to be jam-packed. As we get ready for the Brewers postseason, they await the winners/losers of today's doubleheader between the Braves and the Mets. Game 1 is underway. Josh, you have it on. Do you have a score for us?
I do not. We are in commercial right now, but I can get it
2-0
quick
Braves.
if you keep talking.
Thank you, Hunter. Okay, so what you're rooting for is a split, by the way.
Yes.
On this Monday, because that would eliminate the Diamondbacks from postseason, and they are hot, 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 hot. And ultimately, if we have 2 wins either way, you are ultimately going to get the Diamondbacks if somebody goes 2-0 today. So you hope that is not the case. You're rooting for a split today. All right, let's do what we learned real quick. Josh, you got one today?
Yeah, sticking with the theme here. The MLB notified both the Braves and the Mets that if they both, and they do end up splitting, if the game goes the way we're hoping for, the 2 doubleheaders today, that they would prefer they not champagne celebrate in between games. So there's a scenario here building out where they split these games, say Braves win 1, Mets second game, that they then, both teams in their respective locker rooms will be celebrating with champagne at the same stadium because they both bought themselves playoff appearances.
So the MLB doesn't want them to celebrate?
Not in between games. They said like nothing about after. So it could be a unique situation where a loss, a win and a loss by both teams would get them a double celebration where they're playing. I believe they are in Atlanta.
They're in Atlanta, yeah. And they need to fly. Whoever ultimately would end up in Milwaukee with a split, I think it would be the Mets, Hunter?
Yes, I think so, right?
Yeah, I think a split would give you the Mets, and the Braves would be the 5 seed. I love this scenario. Like, this is best case scenario if you're the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yes.
You're going to have a team that has no arms coming to Milwaukee less than 24 hours after they wrapped up a doubleheader. They're going to be tired and potentially hungover, given the sound of things.
Also, I don't know how the MLB manages it. They play 162 bleeping games, and every year there is one of these games where it's basically winning in game 162, and sometimes they even have to play an extra one.
163, right? As
we saw the Brewers have to do. How it can come down to these final matchups so regularly just is mind-blowing. The Brewers have been in the playoffs for like a month.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, it's really legitimately been, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
But it feels like forever because you knew they were going to win the division.
Right.
We started talking magic numbers in August, So anyway. All right, Hunter, what do you got?
I learned that Badger fans need to get their mindset of football out of the 1980s. The problem...
Here we go.
All of the fans tweeting about the shotgun on 4th and 1, just all it does is tell me that you don't actually understand football in 2024. Because, yes, the Badgers did not scheme up that play properly, but the act of being in shotgun on 4th and 1 is not the problem with the Badgers not converting on 4th and 1 in 2 games. Their problem is that they put 3 tight ends out there and they don't force the defense to actually defend the rest of the field. because Lincoln Riley literally went later in the game on a 4th and 1 and ran a play that got them a touchdown off of it. So it's just you need to actually understand how to run 4th and 1 out of the shotgun, which is clear Phil Longo doesn't know how to do.
No, clearly. And that was evident.
Drives me crazy.
That was evident. Well, everything about Saturday should drive you crazy, right? I mean,
Except for the
everything
first
should drive
half.
you crazy.
I was...
Yeah, the first half, you're right. You should have been riding high after the first half, but then in the second half on, right, then everything should have driven you crazy because that was a winnable game, right?
Yep.
I was driving. I was listening to the radio broadcast with our buddy Taushi, and I said to myself, oh, my God, I said on the show on Friday, if the Badgers beat USC, I'm going to buy Joshy and Hunter lunch. There was a point on Saturday when they go into halftime up 21-10 where I said, oh, my God, I'm going to have to buy them lunch. I had zero confidence. And then ultimately the Badgers, they don't score a point in the second half. They lose 38-21. Yeah, the 4th and 1 thing is irritating. But everything about this program is irritating. So on that, by what we learned is Braylon Allen has something to say. And he tweets, I'm going to hold my tongue for now, but y'all going to see me on a podcast one day explaining exactly what was going on my last season there, alluding to Wisconsin, and last season, which was Luke Fickell's first at the head of the program. Go ahead, Hunter.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, all this game in the second half did was show that the Badgers don't have the depth that they need yet to play with a USC. That's all the second half said to me. So I'm like, they're fine. This program is going in the right direction. And then you've got Braylon Allen being an immature 20-year-old, not understanding that, like, hey, that's where they're at, and maybe you weren't actually good enough to play with all of these other teams, but because you're a kid from Fond du Lac, you got a scholarship offer to Wisconsin. Like, he was maybe the closest offensive player they had to actually being able to play at, like, Ohio State. And I really think, like last year's team, Hunter Wooler maybe defensively would be the only guy, and then Ricardo Hallman are the only ones talented enough to play at, like, an Ohio State or an Alabama. Like, you were just on some bad teams, my guy. Like, I don't think there was anything nefarious going on or underhanded happening. Just grow up.
I'm not disagreeing with you. However, clearly there is something that either happened or multiple things that happened. Nefarious probably isn't the right word, but there was certainly something that was going on. So I don't know. I'm curious to see, on the Hunter Vaughn podcast on the Damn Sports Show. Each and every weekday from 4 to 5 on the ESPN Beaver Dam, which Hunter appears on 4:30 every Tuesday. I can't wait to break down the film on Wednesday. I look forward to what he's saying in 10 years, probably. Or maybe it's next week. I don't know. But he said someday. That makes me feel like he's not going to say anything for a while. But the tweet was weird. The game was weird. The result was weird. The second half stunk. The play calling was bad. I mean, similarly, the Packers, there's plenty of blame to go around for that Badgers loss. I mean, they were winning by 11 points at halftime, and they don't score a point in the second half. I mean, you can't compete. This is still probably a 6-win team, but it's ugly.
Yeah, and it was a smart tweet on Braylon's part. Like, just put someday on there, and then you have the automatic out, and maybe people forget about it, and then you're fine. Like, he can just say, well, the someday isn't today yet. And then hopefully eventually we move on and everything's fine. Like, he doesn't have to actually say anything.
Yes or
then.
no? Real quick. Yes or no, you will watch the next Braylon Allen interview. Whether it's in the Jets locker room or whatever. Will you seek it out?
The next one, yes. After that, if he doesn't say anything, then no, I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cowardly.
Was it?
Yeah. Say what you want to. Say it with your chest. You're in the NFL now. Don't be cryptic.
Yeah,
be
like,
a man.
What's big bad Luke Fickell going to do to you now? You don't play for him anymore. Are you looking to get the running back coach job in a few years once your ankle can't hold up anymore? Like, I don't know what's going on here.
Whoa.
Dude couldn't stay healthy, and he's going to
BA.
sit here and keep taking shots at people after he's gone. And
pretty good at
it's
Jets.
all of these guys who are the reason that Paul Chryst got his ass fired. And they're going to sit here and blame everyone else now and say, oh, look at how awful things are now. Like, yeah, you guys sucked. No recruits wanted to go and play for Paul Chryst, and he got fired because of you guys being bad. But nope, it's Luke Fickell's fault. God.
Bad news, Hunter. It's how the world works.
Yeah, they're still idiots.
Yeah, the guys who were on Chris' teams saying you shouldn't have fired him or you moved on too fast or you wanted him out. You're the reason.
Yep.
You, athlete out there that was on Chris' team, look at yourself.
Yep.
Paul Chris would still be here if you guys didn't stink.
He sure would be. He sure would be. Jim Leonard would still be here, too. Might as well throw that out there. He got a big win. His Broncos got a big win over the Jets. 10-9 this weekend. Jim Leonard's, I think he's the D-backs coach in Denver now. Anyway. All right, that does it for us today. Good show, guys. Good outing.
You don't have one?
I did one. Braylon Allen's tweet. We just mixed them all together.
I thought that was Hunter's.
No, his was just bitching about Wisconsin fans. Like he does quite often.
I got them mixed up.
Yeah, no, that's fair. We mixed them together. Braylon has something to say, was what I learned. And clearly Hunter has something to say, which we always love when he's pissed off and bringing the energy. But that does it for us. We're back with it Wednesday beginning at 12:30. We will preview Packers Rams. We will also review Hunter Vaughn's appearance on the Dam Sports Show, 1430 ESPN Beaver Dam, 4:30 on Tuesdays. We will take a look at what Hunter had to say on the Dam Sports Show coming up on Wednesday. We will also play a little one word and all the in-betweens, as we always do each week. So we will talk to you then. Enjoy the week. Enjoy another Monday Night Football doubleheader. Seahawks-Lions, sneaky good game tonight. Maybe it's not even sneaky. Seahawks are undefeated. Lions are still a good team. They were in the NFC Championship game. It might be sneaky good. I don't know. But we've got plenty to react to coming up on Wednesday. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for hanging with us. Remember, promo code GoodKarma on the Underdog app or UnderdogFantasy.com. And drink local, support local, the great Door County Distillery, DoorCountyDistillery.com. We'll talk to you Wednesday. I'm Alex Strouf. It's Mr. Irrelevant. Peace.